It was just a text. A simple, innocent mistake that would change everything. Sarah Evans was on the verge of a breakdown. Juggling a full-time job, taking care of her 6-year-old son, and trying to maintain some semblance of a social life was wearing her thin. As she sat at the small table in her cramped apartment, her fingers moved across her phone screen, typing out a quick message to a friend, venting about how stressed she was. But in her exhaustion, she accidentally sent it to the wrong person. Jason Carter. She didn't even know who he was, but she had the wrong number. Her heart dropped when she saw the message sent. Not again, she muttered under her breath, shaking her head. She quickly typed a correction, but before she could hit send, her phone buzzed. It was a reply. Hope you're doing okay. I'm here if you need anything. Sarah stared at the message. She had no idea who this was. But something about the message felt kind. She blinked, confused, and then typed back. Sorry, I think I sent this to the wrong person. A beat passed before the reply came in. No worries, happens to the best of us. Sarah laughed nervously, her fingers hovering over the screen. She had nothing to lose. Well, thank you for your kindness. I'm Sarah, by the way. Just tired. Life is a lot sometimes. She didn't expect a response. She didn't expect to care either. But something about his words, the warmth behind them, made her feel heard. His response was quick. I get it. I'm Jason, by the way. It's okay to feel that way. You're doing your best, and that's enough. There was something comforting about that sentence. The kind of comfort that made Sarah's tired heart lighten, even just a little. Yeah, I'm doing this all on my own, and it's exhausting. Sarah typed, more honestly than she intended. She immediately regretted it, but the reply came almost instantly. I get it. Single-parent life is tough. I don't know your situation, but I admire anyone who can keep it together for their kid. That made Sarah pause. She wasn't used to strangers, especially men, talking to her like this. She wasn't sure what to make of it. She thought about ending the conversation. Right there. After all, what was the point? But before she could close her phone, another message came in. Tell me more about you. What do you do? What makes you happy? It was unexpected, a little overwhelming. But there was a kindness in his words that made her want to answer. I work at a local shop. It's not much, but it's enough. I spend most of my days chasing after my son, keeping the house from falling apart, and trying not to lose my mind in the process. She replied. I'm sure you're doing an amazing job. I bet your son is lucky to have you. Her fingers paused as she read his words. She wasn't used to hearing that. She wasn't used to feeling seen. You're sweet, she finally typed. But honestly, I'm just tired. It feels like everything is so hard sometimes. The response came quicker than before. I can't imagine how hard it must be, but it's clear you care deeply about your son. That counts for everything. You're a fighter, Sarah. That sentence hit her in a way she wasn't expecting. She wasn't used to being called a fighter. She wasn't used to feeling like someone cared. She almost forgot she was talking to a stranger. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that, she typed back. You're really nice. It felt odd, talking to a stranger like this, but something about him made it easier. The conversation kept going, each message getting a little longer, a little deeper. Jason, for his part, seemed genuinely interested. It was strange. Sarah wasn't sure how to explain it, but it felt good. Like really good. Maybe she was just lonely. Maybe she was just looking for someone to talk to, someone to remind her that she wasn't invisible. But in that moment, Jason made her feel like she mattered. I think you're doing great, Jason messaged. Life's tough, but you're handling it. And you don't have to do it alone. Sarah stopped typing for a moment, letting his words settle in. Well, thanks, she finally typed. You're probably right. It's just nice to have someone say it once in a while. She smiled to herself, feeling lighter. Anytime, Jason replied. I'm here. Little did she know this small, simple text exchange would set the course for something neither of them expected. It was just a mistake. A tiny, innocent error that would change everything. The days that followed were a blur for Sarah Evans. Between her shifts at the local store, managing her son Lucas' schedule, and keeping up with household chores, she didn't expect to hear from Jason again. But then, a few days later, there it was, another message from him. "How's everything going? How's Lucas?" It was a simple question, but something about it felt different. It wasn't just small talk. It was genuine concern. Sarah smiled as she read it. "Everything's fine, just the usual. Lucas is doing well, growing up too fast," she replied. "How about you? How's your day going?" Jason's response came almost immediately. "Busy as usual, but that's just the way it goes. I can't complain. But I was thinking about what you said the other day, about being exhausted. I get it. Single parenting is a lot." Sarah hadn't realized how much those words had meant to her until she read them again. It felt good to have someone understand, especially a stranger. They kept talking, more frequently now. It wasn't just about small talk anymore. They started opening up. Jason told her about his life, about his company, about the sacrifices he made. Sarah listened, her heart lightening as she shared little bits of her own world. It was strange, but in a way, talking to Jason felt easier than talking to anyone else. She found herself looking forward to his messages. It wasn't long before they were texting every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And each time, Jason's words made her feel like she mattered, like she wasn't alone in the world. "I can't imagine what it must be like for you, juggling everything," he said one evening. "But I know you're strong. You're doing the best you can, and that's something to be proud of." That night, as Sarah tucked Lucas into bed, she thought about what Jason had said. It was strange. She didn't even know him. Yet his words had a way of lifting her spirits. The next day, as she was cleaning up after dinner, Sarah found herself wondering what Jason was up to. What was his life really like? She decided to ask. "What's your day like? I mean, you must have a pretty busy schedule, huh?" Jason's reply was swift, as usual. "Yeah, it's nonstop. Meetings, calls, projects. It can get overwhelming. But I try to make time for the important stuff. My son comes first, you know? That's what matters most." Sarah paused. That simple sentence struck her in a way she hadn't expected. "I get that," she replied. "It's the same for me. Lucas is my everything." A small part of her felt jealous, though. Jason had this life that seemed so different from hers. He had the luxury of choice. The luxury of time. But she didn't dwell on it for long. The truth was, she was just grateful for the connection she had with him, however brief it might turn out to be. A few days later, as Sarah was finishing up her shift at the store, she received another message from Jason. "Hey, I know this might sound a little strange, but I'd love to meet you sometime. Maybe grab coffee or something? No pressure, just thought it'd be nice to finally put a face to the conversation." Sarah was taken aback. She hadn't expected him to suggest meeting up. She wasn't sure if she was ready for that kind of step. She liked the comfort of texting, the safety of keeping things at a distance. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized she was curious. Curious about him. Curious about where this strange connection might lead. "I'd like that," she typed back. "Let's do it." It was a simple response, but it felt like a big decision. She wasn't sure where this was going, but for the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of hope. A sense of possibility. That night, as she lay in bed, Sarah couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. She had no idea how things would unfold, but she knew one thing for sure: her life was about to change in a way she couldn't predict. She was about to meet someone who, in a matter of days, had already started to make her feel like she mattered. And that, for now, was enough. The day Sarah agreed to meet Jason was one she would never forget. As the morning sun filtered through her window, she felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She had never met anyone like Jason before. Despite their brief but meaningful conversations, she still felt like she didn't know him. He was a man of mystery, someone she had only gotten to know through words on a screen. Yet there was something about him that made her feel like he understood her in a way no one else had. She spent the morning getting ready, trying to look presentable while also keeping things simple. A pair of jeans, a nice blouse, and just a little makeup. She didn't want to overdo it. After all, they were just meeting for coffee. But as she glanced at herself in the mirror, she couldn't help but feel a little unsure. Was this the right thing to do? Should she be meeting a stranger like this? But then she remembered the messages, the conversations they had shared. Jason had always been kind, understanding, and encouraging. Maybe this could be the start of something new. She shook off the doubt and grabbed her purse, making her way to the cafe where they had agreed to meet. As she walked in, she immediately spotted him. He was sitting at a table by the window, a coffee cup in front of him, his eyes focused on his phone. Jason looked exactly like he had described himself, tall, with short dark hair, wearing a casual jacket and jeans. But there was something about him that was different in person. Something more real. Sarah took a deep breath and walked over to his table. "Hi, Jason," she said, her voice a little shakier than she expected. He looked up, his face lighting up with a smile that made her heart flutter. "Sarah! It's so good to finally meet you," he said, standing up to shake her hand. There was a warmth in his touch, a genuine kindness that instantly put her at ease. "Please sit down." Jason gestured to the chair across from him. As Sarah sat down, she couldn't help but notice the way he seemed to make her feel comfortable without even trying. It was like he had this natural ease about him, something that was hard to find in people. "So, how's Lucas doing?" Jason asked, his tone friendly and caring. Sarah smiled, feeling the familiar warmth in her chest when she talked about her son. "He's good. Growing up too fast, as always. He's really into soccer these days. I can't believe how quickly time is passing." Jason nodded, his eyes softening as he listened. "That's great. I can imagine how busy you must be, keeping up with everything. It's not easy." Sarah chuckled, appreciating the fact that he really got it. "No, it's definitely not easy, but it's worth it. He's worth it." The conversation flowed easily after that. They talked about their lives, their hopes, and their challenges. Jason shared stories about his work, the pressures of running a company, and the difficulties of balancing his career with being a father. It wasn't hard to see why he was so successful. He was driven, intelligent, and focused. But there was something more to him, something beyond the successful CEO persona. He was a father, someone who understood what it meant to put family first. Sarah couldn't help but feel a connection to him. It wasn't just about the messages anymore. It was about the way he listened, the way he made her feel like she mattered. She realized that she was starting to like him, maybe more than she had intended. As they finished their coffee, Jason leaned back in his chair and smiled. "I have to say, Sarah, I'm really glad we met today. You're an incredible person, and I admire everything you're doing for Lucas." Sarah felt her cheeks warm at his words. "Thank you. That means a lot to me," she replied, her voice soft. There was a pause, and for a moment, Sarah wondered if Jason was going to say something more. And then he did. "You know, I've been thinking. You're doing everything for your son, and I admire that. But you also deserve something for yourself. I think you deserve happiness, Sarah." His words hit her harder than she expected. It wasn't just about the nice things he said. It was about how he saw her, really saw her, as more than just a mother or a worker, but as a person who deserved to be happy. Sarah looked at him, surprised by how much that meant to her. I don't know what to say," she stammered, feeling vulnerable. Jason smiled warmly. "You don't have to say anything. I just want you to know that you matter, and I'm here if you need anything." For a brief moment, Sarah felt like everything was possible. The world didn't feel so heavy. She wasn't just a single mom struggling to get by. She was someone who could be seen, someone who deserved to have her own happiness. As they left the cafe together, Jason gave her a friendly wave and said, "Take care, Sarah. I'll see you soon." Sarah walked out of the cafe, her heart light and her mind racing with possibilities. She wasn't sure what the future held, but one thing was clear: meeting Jason had changed something inside of her. Maybe, just maybe, she was starting to believe that she deserved a little happiness too. The days following their first meeting felt surreal for Sarah. She couldn't stop thinking about Jason. Their coffee date had been unexpectedly easy, the conversation flowing like they had known each other for years. Jason had made her feel seen, heard, and valued. It was the first time in a long time that she had felt that way. She was used to being the one who had to juggle everything, make sure everything was in place, and do it all without asking for help. But with Jason, it was different. He didn't expect anything from her. He simply listened. Sarah's thoughts drifted back to the morning after their coffee date. She had woken up early, feeling strangely light. As she watched Lucas run around the living room, trying to organize his toys before school, she realized something. She was beginning to feel like she deserved a life outside of just being a mother. It wasn't that she didn't love her son, she did more than anything, but for the first time, she realized that she was allowed to think about herself too. Later that day, Sarah was at the grocery store, pushing her cart down the aisles when she heard her phone buzz. It was a message from Jason. "Hey, Sarah. I was thinking about you. I know it's a little last minute, but would you be interested in joining me for dinner tonight? Just something casual, no pressure." Sarah stared at the message for a moment, unsure of how to respond. Part of her was excited at the thought of seeing him again, but another part of her felt hesitant. She didn't want to rush into anything. But at the same time, she couldn't deny the pull she felt toward him. After a moment of contemplation, she typed out a reply. "I'd love to. What time were you thinking?" Jason responded quickly. "How about 7? I know a great little place downtown. I'll make a reservation for us." Sarah felt a flutter in her stomach. Dinner. With Jason. She hadn't been out to dinner with anyone in so long, let alone someone like him. After their conversation at the cafe, she had started to imagine what it would be like to get to know him better. They had a connection, and she couldn't ignore that. That evening, Sarah took extra care with her appearance. She chose a simple black dress that made her feel confident, but not overdone. She wanted to look nice but still keep it casual. As she looked at herself in the mirror, she realized that she wasn't just doing this for Jason. She was doing this for herself. She was allowing herself to have a moment, to have something that wasn't all about being a mother or working just to get by. This was about her for once. When Sarah arrived at the restaurant, she spotted Jason immediately. He was standing by the entrance, looking as handsome as she remembered. As soon as he saw her, his face lit up with that same warm smile. "You look amazing," he said, his voice genuine. "I'm glad you could make it." Sarah smiled nervously, feeling a little out of her element. "Thanks. This place looks great," she replied. Jason led her to their table, a cozy corner by the window with a beautiful view of the city skyline. They sat down, and the waiter immediately brought over water and took their drink orders. As they began talking, the conversation picked up right where it left off at the cafe. They laughed about silly things, shared stories about their lives, and talked about the challenges they both faced. Jason told her about his recent work trip to New York, about the frustrations of managing a company, and being away from his son. "It's tough being away," he admitted. "But I do my best to stay connected, even when I'm not around. I think that's the most important thing." Sarah nodded, understanding exactly what he meant. "I get that. I feel the same way about Lucas. It's not always easy to balance everything, but I try to be present for him." "You know?" Jason looked at her with a soft expression. "I can see that. You're a great mom, Sarah. And I admire how much you give for your son." Sarah felt her heart warm at his words. She wasn't used to receiving compliments like that, especially from someone like Jason. It felt good, But it also made her realize how much she longed for someone to truly appreciate everything she did. Dinner arrived, and they continued talking as they ate. The more they talked, the more Sarah felt herself opening up to him. She found herself laughing more than she had in months, sharing stories about her childhood, and even admitting how much she missed having someone to talk to on a deeper level. As the evening went on, Sarah realized how comfortable she felt around Jason. He wasn't like anyone she had met before. He wasn't just some wealthy businessman. He was a father, a man who truly cared about the people in his life. By the time dessert arrived, Sarah was feeling more relaxed than she had in a long time. Jason reached across the table and took her hand in his, a small but meaningful gesture. "I'm really glad we did this," he said softly. "I enjoy spending time with you, Sarah. You make everything seem easier." Sarah looked at him, feeling her heart race a little. There was something about the way he said it that made her believe it. For the first time in a long time, Sarah realized that maybe, just maybe, she could have a life beyond motherhood. Maybe there was space for her to be happy, to be herself, and to build a future with someone who truly cared. As they finished their dessert and prepared to leave, Jason walked her to her car. Before she got in, he paused and looked at her, his expression soft. "I really enjoyed tonight, Sarah. I'd like to see you again soon." Sarah smiled, her heart fluttering at the thought. "I'd like that too," she said. Jason gave her a gentle kiss on the cheek before she got in her car. As she drove home, she couldn't help but feel a sense of hope stirring inside her. For the first time in a long time, Sarah felt like she was on the verge of something new. Something good. And that was a feeling she wasn't about to let go of. Over the next few weeks, Sarah and Jason continued to see each other. Their relationship was slowly blossoming into something real, something neither of them had expected. Jason was always thoughtful, always checking in with Sarah, making sure she was doing okay, making sure Lucas was doing okay. He made it clear that he wanted to be a part of her life, and it was something Sarah had never experienced before. He wasn't rushing things, and that made her feel safe. One afternoon, as Sarah was picking up Lucas from school, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jason. "Hey, how about dinner tonight? Just us. I was thinking of trying that new Italian place downtown. What do you think?" Sarah smiled at the message. It had been a busy week, and she hadn't seen him as much as she wanted to. "I'd love that," she replied. "Let me check with my mom to watch Lucas." As Sarah confirmed the plans, she realized how much she looked forward to seeing him. He had a way of making her feel important, something she hadn't felt in a long time. When they arrived at the restaurant that evening, Jason was already waiting. He looked even more handsome than she remembered, and as soon as he saw her, he stood up with a big smile on his face. "Hey, Sarah, you look amazing," he said, his eyes warm. Sarah couldn't help but feel her heart skip a beat. "Thanks, Jason," she replied, a little flustered. "This place looks great." They sat down, and as the waiter brought over their menus, they settled into an easy rhythm. The conversation was effortless, like they had known each other for years. Jason told her about his week, his work, his son, his life. And Sarah shared little details about her daily routine. It felt like they were becoming more and more comfortable with each other. After they had ordered, Jason leaned in a little closer and smiled. "I have to say, I really enjoy spending time with you, Sarah. You make everything feel easier." Sarah felt a warm sensation spread through her chest. She hadn't expected those words, but they meant more than she could say. "I enjoy spending time with you too, Jason. It's nice to have someone to talk to." Jason's smile softened. "I know what you mean. I haven't felt like this in a while. You've been a pleasant surprise." Sarah blushed. "A pleasant surprise? I wasn't expecting to hear that." Jason chuckled. "Well, it's true. You're strong, Sarah. You've got this incredible strength about you, balancing everything in your life. I really admire that." Her heart swelled with warmth. No one had ever said something like that to her before. It felt good to be seen, truly seen, for the first time in a long time. Thank you, Jason. That really means a lot. The waiter brought their meals, and they continued their conversation, each word building the connection between them. By the end of the evening, Sarah was beginning to feel like she could see a future with Jason. He made her believe in the possibility of something more than just surviving, more than just getting by. He made her feel like she could thrive. After dessert, Jason paid the bill and walked her to her car. As they reached the door, he turned to her and smiled. I had a really great time tonight, Sarah. I'm glad we did this. Sarah smiled back, her heart feeling full. Me too, Jason. I'm really glad we met. They stood there for a moment, looking at each other, and then Jason leaned in and kissed her gently on the cheek. It was soft, warm, and unexpected. It left Sarah with a feeling of hope, of something new blossoming inside her. Good night, Sarah, Jason said softly. I'll text you tomorrow. Sarah watched him walk away, her heart racing. As she drove home, she realized that something had shifted inside her. She wasn't just a mother anymore. She wasn't just a worker. She was a woman, and she was allowed to have her own happiness, her own life. And maybe, just maybe, she could have it with Jason. Over the next few weeks, Sarah and Jason's connection continued to grow. They spent more time together, each moment deepening their bond. The more they got to know each other, the more Sarah realized how much she enjoyed Jason's company. He was thoughtful, considerate, and always made her feel like she was the most important person in the room. It was a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time. Jason had become a constant in her life, and for the first time, Sarah felt like she was more than just a mother or a worker. She was herself again. One evening, after they had finished dinner, Jason asked if she wanted to take a walk in the park. The idea was simple, but there was something special about it. They strolled through the park, talking about everything and nothing. The evening air was crisp, and the sound of the wind rustling through the trees made everything feel peaceful. As they walked, Jason took her hand in his touch warm and comforting. Sarah couldn't help but smile. She hadn't realized how much she had missed the simple pleasures in life, the feeling of someone caring about her, the sense of companionship. I'm really glad we're doing this, Jason said, his voice soft. I know we've only been seeing each other for a short time, but it feels like we've known each other forever. Sarah looked at him, her heart swelling with affection. I feel the same way, she replied. It's strange, but it feels like we just click, you know? Jason smiled, his eyes locking onto hers. I do know. I feel it too. They walked for a while longer, the conversation flowing easily between them. Sarah found herself opening up in ways she hadn't expected. She told Jason about her childhood, about the struggles she had faced as a single mother, and about how she had learned to rely on herself for everything. Jason listened intently, his hand never leaving hers. He shared more about his life, about how he had built his company from the ground up, about the sacrifices he had made along the way. Sarah admired his determination, his drive, but what she admired most was his vulnerability. He wasn't afraid to show her the real side of him. As they reached a bench by the lake, they sat down and continued talking. Jason turned to her, his expression serious. Sarah, I want you to know something, he said quietly. I really care about you. I know this is new, and I'm not trying to rush anything, but I just want you to know that I'm here. I'm here for you, and I'm here for Lucas too. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected him to say that, but it felt right. It felt like the truth. Jason, I care about you too, she replied, her voice trembling slightly. I wasn't sure at first, but now I can see it. I can see a future with you. Jason reached out, gently cupping her face in his hands. I'm glad you feel that way, he said softly. I want to build something real with you, Sarah. I want to be a part of your life, and I want to be there for Lucas. I want to show you that you don't have to do everything alone. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. She had never felt so seen, so understood. She had spent so many years doing everything on her own, convincing herself that she didn't need anyone else. But with Jason, it was different. She didn't have to carry the weight of the world on her shoulders anymore. She had someone who wanted to help, someone who cared. "Thank you," Sarah whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for being here." Jason smiled, his thumb brushing gently against her cheek. "You don't have to thank me. I'm just doing what feels right." They sat there for a while, the weight of their words hanging in the air, but there was no pressure. No expectation. Just two people who had found something special in each other. As the night wore on, Jason walked Sarah back to her car, and before she got in, he kissed her gently on the cheek. "I'll see you soon," he said, his voice warm. Sarah smiled, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. "I'm looking forward to it," she said softly. As she drove home, she couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in a long time, Sarah felt like she was finally on the right path. With Jason by her side, she felt like she could take on anything. And for the first time in years, she believed that she deserved to be happy. As the weeks passed, Sarah and Jason's connection only grew stronger. Their relationship felt effortless, and for the first time in a long time, Sarah found herself looking forward to each day. They spent weekends together, sometimes just enjoying a quiet afternoon at her apartment, sometimes going out to explore new places. Jason's presence in her life had become something she hadn't realized she needed. For so long, Sarah had been focused solely on raising Lucas, managing her work, and making sure everything in her life stayed afloat. She hadn't allowed herself to even think about her own happiness, let alone a relationship. But with Jason, everything felt different. He was patient, kind, and always made time for her. He never made her feel rushed, never pushed her to move faster than she was comfortable with. Jason respected her boundaries, and that made her feel safe. One Saturday afternoon, after a lazy morning spent with Lucas, Sarah received a message from Jason. "Hey, I was thinking, how about we take a day trip somewhere this weekend? I found this little town about 2 hours away that looks beautiful. What do you think?" Sarah smiled as she read the message. The idea of getting away, even just for a day, sounded perfect. "That sounds amazing. Let's do it," she replied. Jason texted back quickly. "Great! I'll pick you up Saturday morning." The anticipation of the trip made Sarah feel excited in a way she hadn't felt in years. As she packed a small bag for the weekend getaway, she found herself thinking about how much her life had changed in such a short time. Jason had brought so much light into her world. He had shown her that it was okay to let go, to trust someone again. When Saturday morning arrived, Sarah was ready. She and Lucas had spent the morning together, and now it was time for her to go. She felt a bit of guilt leaving Lucas with her mom, but she knew he would be fine. He loved spending time with his grandmother, and this was a rare opportunity for her to take some time for herself. Jason arrived on time, a wide smile on his face as he greeted her. "Ready for an adventure?" he asked. "I am," Sarah replied with a laugh. As they drove toward the small town Jason had planned to visit, they talked about everything: work, family, dreams for the future. It felt so natural to talk to him, as if they had known each other for a lifetime. When they arrived, the town was even more beautiful than Sarah had imagined. The streets were lined with charming little shops, and the town square was bustling with people enjoying the sunshine. They spent the afternoon walking through the shops, stopping for coffee at a cozy cafe, and exploring the scenic parks. As the day came to a close, Jason took Sarah to a lookout point where they could see the sunset. The view was breathtaking, and for a moment, it felt like the world had slowed down just for them. Jason took her hand as they stood together, watching the sun dip below the horizon. "This is perfect," Sarah whispered. "Thank you for bringing me here." Jason smiled, his eyes soft and sincere. "I'm glad you're enjoying it. I just want you to be happy, Sarah. You deserve that." Sarah's heart fluttered at his words. She had never imagined that she would be here, in this moment, with someone who genuinely cared about her. As the sun set and the sky turned to twilight, Sarah realized that Jason had become an integral part of her life. He had shown her that there was more to life than just surviving. It was about living, about being present in the moment, and about allowing herself to experience happiness again. As they headed back to the car, Sarah felt a deep sense of contentment. She wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she was open to it. She had found someone who made her feel valued, who made her feel seen, and who made her believe in the possibility of a future filled with love and happiness. With Jason by her side, she knew that anything was possible. The days following their trip were filled with a renewed sense of excitement. Sarah couldn't stop thinking about how perfect the weekend had been. Jason had truly surprised her. He was thoughtful and kind, someone who made her feel important without even trying. Every conversation with him felt easy, and she found herself looking forward to their time together. It was a nice change from the weight of her everyday responsibilities. One evening, after putting Lucas to bed, Sarah sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone when she received a text from Jason. "Hey, I was thinking about you. I hope you're doing well." The simple message made Sarah smile. She quickly replied, "I'm doing great, actually. Been a bit busy with work, but it's been a good week. How about you?" Jason's response came quickly. "Same here. Busy with work. But I wanted to ask, would you be interested in meeting my son? I know it might feel like a big step, but I think you two would get along well." Sarah paused as she read his message. Meeting his son was a big step. She hadn't even realized how much she had come to care about Jason until that moment. She'd never imagined herself in a relationship again, let alone meeting someone's child. But there was something about Jason that made her feel like she could handle anything. She typed a reply. "I'd love to meet him. I think it's important that we all get to know each other better." Jason sent a heart emoji, followed by, "I'm really glad you feel that way. How about Saturday afternoon?" The idea of meeting his son made Sarah nervous, but she also felt a sense of excitement. It was another step in their relationship, a deeper one. As the week went on, Sarah couldn't shake the thoughts swirling in her head. She wanted things to work with Jason, but she also had to be cautious. She didn't want to rush into anything, especially when it involved Lucas. But she trusted Jason, and that was a big part of it. Saturday arrived, and Sarah found herself feeling both nervous and eager. She spent the morning preparing herself, thinking about how she would meet Jason's son, how she wanted to make a good impression. When Jason arrived to pick her up, he greeted her with a warm smile. "Are you ready?" he asked. Sarah nodded, her heart racing. "Yeah, let's go." The drive to Jason's house was filled with light conversation. When they arrived, Jason led Sarah inside, where a young boy was sitting on the couch playing a game on his tablet. "Hey, buddy," Jason called softly. The boy looked up, his face lighting up with a smile. "Hi, Dad," he exclaimed, jumping up to give Jason a hug. Jason turned to Sarah, his smile wide. "Sarah, this is my son, Ethan." Sarah knelt down, offering a friendly smile. "Hi, Ethan. It's really nice to meet you." Ethan looked at her with curious eyes, his shy smile making Sarah's heart melt. "Hi," he said softly. Jason looked at Sarah with a proud smile. "Ethan, do you want to show Sarah your favorite game?" Ethan nodded eagerly, and the three of them spent the next hour playing games together. It was easy, fun, and natural. Sarah could see how much Ethan adored his dad, and she could tell Jason loved being around him. As the afternoon wore on, Sarah realized that this was exactly how it should be. She wasn't trying to replace anyone in Ethan's life, she was simply getting to know him, just like Jason was getting to know her son. By the time Sarah left, she felt a sense of warmth in her chest. Meeting Ethan had been a beautiful experience, and she was glad she had taken that step. As Jason drove her home, they talked about the afternoon, both feeling like it had gone well. "Thanks for being so wonderful with him," Jason said, his voice filled with gratitude. "He really liked you." Sarah smiled, feeling a sense of pride. "It was really nice to meet him, Jason. He's a great kid." Jason's hand reached over and gently squeezed hers. "I'm glad you two got along. I think this is the start of something special. Sarah's heart swelled at his words. She had no idea where this journey with Jason would take her, but in that moment, she felt like she was on the right path. She was finally allowing herself to be open, to trust, and to experience the possibility of love and connection again. And it felt good. As the weeks went by, Sarah found herself more and more immersed in her relationship with Jason. What had started as a simple connection had grown into something deeper, more meaningful. She spent more time with Jason and Ethan, and she couldn't help but notice how well they both fit into her life. Jason was always there when she needed him, offering support and understanding in ways she hadn't thought possible. He was a constant presence, making her feel secure and valued. One evening, as Sarah was sitting in the living room after putting Lucas to bed, she reflected on how far she had come. A few months ago, she never would have imagined herself in a relationship again, especially not with someone like Jason. But now, she couldn't imagine her life without him. Her phone buzzed, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was a text from Jason. "Hey Sarah. I've been thinking. How about we take a weekend trip together soon? Just the three of us, me, you, and Ethan. A little getaway to make some memories." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. The idea of spending more time with Jason and Ethan, away from the routines of everyday life, felt like the perfect next step. She quickly typed back, "That sounds amazing. When were you thinking?" Jason's reply came fast. "How about next weekend? I'll find a place, and we can plan it all out." Sarah smiled as she read his message. She loved how thoughtful he was. He wasn't just thinking about their relationship, he was thinking about her and Lucas, and how they could all build something together. The weekend arrived quickly, and Sarah found herself packing for the trip. As she gathered her things, she couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. She was ready for this. Ready for the next chapter with Jason and Ethan. They drove to a small cabin in the woods, a place that felt like it was straight out of a postcard. The air was fresh, the scenery breathtaking, and it was the perfect escape from their busy lives. The weekend was everything Sarah had hoped for. They spent their days hiking, exploring, and laughing. Ethan was full of energy, always running ahead, but Sarah could see how much he loved having both of them around. It felt natural, like they had always been a family. One evening, as the sun was setting and they sat around a campfire, Jason turned to Sarah with a soft smile. "I'm really glad we're doing this," he said quietly. "I think this weekend has been perfect. It feels like the start of something special." Sarah's heart swelled at his words. She had never expected to find someone who cared so deeply about her son, about their future. "I agree," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "This weekend has been wonderful. It feels like we're building something real." Jason reached over, taking her hand in his. "We are. I can't imagine my life without you, Sarah. I want to keep building this with you, with Lucas, with Ethan. I want to be part of your life, all of it." Sarah's heart fluttered. She had never felt so seen, so understood. "I want that too, Jason. I want this, whatever this is, I want it with you." They sat there in silence for a moment, the crackling of the fire filling the air. For the first time in a long time, Sarah felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. She had found someone who loved her son, and who wanted to be a part of their lives. And for the first time, she truly believed that they could make this work. As the weekend came to an end and they made their way back home, Sarah felt a deep sense of contentment. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew that with Jason by her side, anything was possible. She had finally let go of the fear that had held her back for so long. She was ready for love, for happiness, and for the future she was building with the people who mattered most. With Jason, everything felt right. She couldn't wait to see where this journey would take them.